The
Yeah.
last two signings for the Giants, with Jameis going first, 2 years, $8 million, and then the 1 year, 20 some odd $million deal that could be it's guaranteed 10.5 means what? How do you view this as the big splash in the draft pond? How does it ripple, Daniel?
Well, I think there's a couple ways to look at it. I think first of all, if you love Shedeur Sanders and you have big grades on him, I don't think this would stop you from doing that. But the fact that they did make this decision to do this now, I look at it more in timelines, Rich, and with a team like the Giants and where they are from a leadership standpoint, it feels so necessary that they win this year, and that's why they've kind of covered themselves here with a couple veteran quarterbacks. At least my opinion on it, looking at it, it leads me to believe more so that they are going to take another player that can help them win this year, and they feel like these two quarterbacks, the combination, whoever wins that job, however that shakes out, could buy them enough time, enough wins to get to their quarterback, later. And maybe that's a situation where they come back in with their next pick and then try and have their cake and eat it too, where they get somebody that can help them right now with the third pick to complement the two veterans they signed at a different position. And then maybe they swoop back into the first round and come back for one of these other quarterbacks like a Jackson Dart. And that's kind of their cake and eat it too scenario.
So to me, here's what I take from the Giants' moves: that Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh, that the Giants know that he's not coming there. So they made these moves the minute that Rodgers, they found out, I guess, that he was at the Steelers facility, or they might have gotten a different indication prior to that, that he wasn't coming there. And the Titans rebuffed any thoughts for the number 1 overall pick if they liked Cam Ward, right? Like, is that another assumption that you can make from these Giants moves, Daniel?
Well, I mean, I've seen people make these types of moves and then still, hey, we're going to try one last ditch effort. Maybe you sweeten the pie a little bit or sweeten the pot a little bit to go up with Tennessee and just try one last ditch effort. I don't think that signing these two guys would stop you from at least pursuing that. But I think you're right in that they've kind of read the landscape here. Aaron Rodgers feels like it's Pittsburgh or retirement. So once you know that he's kind of out of the equation, like, let's give ourselves another shot at it here with another veteran, and off you go. I know some people have looked into it and said, well, maybe they were ensured that Cleveland was going to take Shedeur at 2, therefore knowing they would miss out on him, and that's why they went out and got Russell Wilson. I don't know that information would be shared between those teams at this point in time.
Okay, so let's put a pin in the Cleveland conversation for a second and just linger on the Giants for one more. How does this work? You know what I mean? Like, so based on what you saw from Russ at the end of the season last year, now he's going to the NFC East. And how do you see this working for the Giants with Brian Daboll in a potential last chance saloon situation, DJ?
Well, it's pretty tough because no matter which one of those guys you start, and obviously it would appear like Russell is the favorite there, based financially. You're fourth. You're the fourth best quarterback in that division. So you already start from a weakness from that standpoint. Now, where does that go from him versus what they had in Daniel Jones? I would say you could argue maybe it's an upgrade. You were texting me about it last night about, how much of an upgrade is it? What's the difference there? And I said, well, I think you just went from vanilla to French vanilla. Like, I think it's very similar. I don't know that you're going to get that much more impact there, but the hope being maybe with the resources you have, with the high pick and other draft resources, you can build up the group around him so he has a better supporting group than what Daniel Jones had.
So, again, just to recap, doesn't take them out of the Shedeur Sanders game. Well, although why go for 2 veterans, right? Why pop 2? Why go 2X for veterans if you're going to draft somebody that you at the top of the draft at quarterback, Daniel?
I think it's been such an issue for them at that position that it was, we're going to throw all these resources. We're going to have backups to the backup plans here. And then I think wasn't it the Jets with the Darnold year when they had signed, I think it was McCown and Geno, right? And then they drafted Sam, and then I think they ended up trading Geno. Was that I think that's what went
to the
went down that
Giants,
year.
I believe.
Yes.
You know, so
yeah. So we've seen something similar to this of,
Okay.
hey, we can't go into a season and not have a quarterback. We can't do what we've done the last few years in terms of what we've had to fill in. So let's get a bunch of options. Let's get 2 veterans we feel comfortable with. And again, if they still love Shedeur and they feel like Shedeur is, going to be a franchise level player to compete in that division with those quarterbacks, then yeah, I think you would still take him. Now, would all 3 of those guys be on the roster at the start of the season? I don't know about that.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.